Nice to see you all join us again. Hope you had a good summer. A few housekeeping items first. If you have any questions, just drop them into the chat window as we go along, and then we'll try and get to them at the end of the session. The session is recorded, and we'll send links to you afterwards. It'll come from the marketing team. Feel free to share this if you want with anybody. Then we may as well get started. Good turnout again. Thanks for joining us. Okay, so today I'm going to be looking at Copilot again, as has been the case over a lot of these webinars. But I'm going to start with a quick recap of Copilot and Copilot Chat and what they compare with. Some of you will have seen this before. But then I'll move on to the exciting stuff, which are the new announcements that came in August, and even a more exciting one, I think, which turned up yesterday. So hopefully there's some news in here that will be of interest to you. Okay, so hopefully a lot of you know this, but there's a Microsoft 365 version of Copilot. That is the paid version. That's the fully featured premium version of Copilot. The main benefits of this, well, the benefits of Copilot to start with are that it's inside your Microsoft 365 tenant. No matter what version it is, it's inside your Microsoft 365 tenant. And it's safe in there. None of your prompts, none of your data is used to train the large language model for other users. So that's the first thing, and that's across all versions. But the paid version of Copilot, it's deeply integrated into the Office app. So Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Teams, it's deeply integrated in there. And on top of that, it has access to your Office 365 tenant data. And that includes your email data, your OneDrive data, Teams and Teams meeting data, SharePoint. So it has access to all that data that it can use to ground your responses. What grounding is just where it goes to look for your data. It will also go out to the web if it needs more information, but it has access to your own data. So two very important differences there. And based on those two things, one of my favorite options is Teams Meeting Recap, which will take the transcript from this webinar or from a meeting that we have with people. It will give you a summary and you can get action points out of it, and you can query the transcript to do anything you want. So that's one of my favorite productivity tools in the paid version. Okay, it supports agents, and agents are tools you can create, which they're basically mini copilots that you can target them at for certain topics. And it's supported by the Copilot control system. The Copilot control system is the functionality in your admin center for controlling Copilot. So Copilot has all this functionality. This is the paid M365 Copilot. Moving on to the free one. And this will be of interest to a lot of you. So you can use Copilot at scale. It's a free Copilot. It's available to staff and students in your tenancy. You get access to it through the Microsoft 365 Copilot app, at m365copilot.com. That slide is wrong. However, it's grounded in the web data. It doesn't ground the answers. It doesn't look for your SharePoint to get the answers. It works with the same large language model based on OpenAI, ChatGPT, as the paid version. It can be pinned into Outlook and Teams, and I'll explain what pinning is in a bit, but basically you can have it in Outlook and Teams, but it's generally a sidebar that allows you to work within the app you're working in. It supports agents, but from an agent point of view, depending on what you're doing with agents in the free version, you might get charged for what you do for messages in there. And it's also controlled by the Copilot control system. Okay, so a few differences, but the two main ones are it's grounded in web data and it's not in your M365 apps. I'm being a bit cautious there because I'm going to move on in a minute. Okay, so this was announced over the summer and it's released over the summer. Copilot Chat is now available for your students. Okay, quite important. The reason it hasn't been there up until now is because Copilot uses the ChatGPT model. OpenAI have got licensing restrictions on their software that only allows users over 13 to use it. And if they're between 13 and 18, they require parental request. So Microsoft have put those controls into your tenancy. And there's information on how to do it in that link on the slide that Mark has just shared with you. So if you want to add the free Copilot Chat for your students, it's now available in your tenancy. Okay, so none of this is new, and this is me bringing everybody into the same position so that they know they've got an idea of the differences between the different models. But there's been an update which was announced in August, I think. I don't think it's fully rolled out yet, but Microsoft 365 Copilot and Copilot Chat are now both going to have the ChatGPT 5 model in there. So the latest model from ChatGPT is going to be within Copilot. It's available now to try. So if I go to the Copilot Chat, I've got the paid version. It says try GPT-5 there. And if I click the button, it switches to the new model. I don't think it's fully rolled out yet. And I think for the free Copilot Chat is going to come further down the line. But it's going to be in both models. The benefits of GPT-5. Firstly, it supports larger documents, so you can work with larger files than you could with the previous version of Copilot. So that's fairly good news. Probably the most important one is the real-time router. What this does is basically GPT-5 has got two models in there. So the high throughput model is if you've got a simple ChatGPT question, basically the types of things you've been asking now, when you prompt, it will bring back an answer fairly quickly based on the fact that it's using what's called the high throughput model, but basically the the same sort of model that you had in the previous version of Copilot, which was GPT 4.5. But there's also a deeper reasoning model in there for more complex prompts. Not necessarily more complex prompts, but prompts that require more thought into bringing an answer back. But Copilot now knows, based on your prompt, what it needs, what model it needs to do to give you the best response. So this real-time router allows you to get the best answer based on what your requirements are, without you having to think about it. So it's available in the free and the paid versions that I just said. It's also going to be available in Copilot Studio for you to develop the agents based off of it. It's also going to be in Git Copilot for you to develop your agents and any Azure app, AI apps you're creating, and also going to be available in Azure Foundry, which Azure Foundry allows you to take all the different AI models from speech, translation, all of that stuff that's in Azure, and it allows you to then develop your own apps based on whatever model you want. There's over 100 different models in AI that you could be using. Okay. One other feature of the new LLM, in the paid version of Copilot, the reasoning model gives that access to that for all users, including the free users. But previously, Microsoft had an analyst agent, which was an agent created for analyzing data, and a researcher agent, which was for analyzing, which was for researching vast amounts of data and bringing results back to you. Now, in the paid version, you can now call out those agents with an @call, and that will automatically trigger those agents. And one of the benefits of those agents, on top of the deeper reasoning, is that there's workflow built into it to bring back better results. Okay, but you can do that with the paid version, but not with the free version. Okay, this was announced yesterday, and I think it's probably one of the most exciting updates that we've got. Copilot Chat has now been added to the Microsoft 365 apps. So it was in Outlook and in Teams, but it's now going to be built into Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. And notebook, yeah. It's going to be built into it's not going to be built into all those apps, but it's going to be pinned into those apps. What pinning means is you have to go into the admin center and give access to it into people's apps, and you can pin it there so that it's there persistently. So once they're in the apps, you'll have the Copilot button within the app. If you press it, it comes into the sidebar. Okay, so you'll have Copilot inside your Word application or any of the other applications. It is still web grounded, so it doesn't access your data. But what you can do, you can open a Word in a document in Word, and then you can summarize that document, look for certain topics within there, anything you do with Copilot, but you're doing it on that one document that you've got open in Word, for example. So it gives you a few more productivity gains doing it that way. Okay, but I think this is quite important. One thing, for instance, it's built into Teams, but you don't get meeting recap. That's one of the big ones, I think. And in Teams, you've got the full Copilot page if you want, which you can add in there. And that then would just be for standard Copilot use if you wanted it in Teams rather, Copilot chat use if you wanted it in Teams rather than within a browser. So it's going to be added to these apps. So I think it's a big step forward, but it doesn't give you the same deep integration into the app that you have with other products. But exciting all the same. I think that's quite an important step forward to be able to roll it out at scale. Okay, also Microsoft have introduced the concept of priority. So the paid M365 Copilot license now has priority. It's given a priority access. And the Copilot chat is given standard access. What this means is during periods of heavy usage, the paid version gets access to compute resources in the data center, preferentially over Copilot chat. Okay, so what this means in real life in terms of performance in Copilot chat, I don't know. You know, it was only announced yesterday, so no, this wasn't announced yesterday, that was the apps. But I still don't know how much difference. Is it going to make the paid one version 10 times faster? Is it going to slow down the other one? I don't think so, but I think you may see at times Copilot chat being a little slower. Okay, I've talked about agents, and you develop your agents within Copilot Studio. Some announcements here as well. So Copilot Studio allows you to build your own agents, but new from now on, there's going to be two different interfaces, if you like, within the app. If you want to develop a light app, you choose, or you will pick the light version, and you can create a simple app in there, and the interface will be nice and simple for developing low-code stuff. And then if you're a developer that wants to create a fairly complex agent with built into Power Apps and even integrating with Foundry, then you would select the full agent functionality to give you a more complete development platform in there. GTP5 is going to be included. So that model, you can build agents based on that model, obviously. But also from costs within Copilot, Microsoft 365 Copilot, so the paid version, will now not have any messaging costs, which I'm going to next, as opposed to the free Copilot chat. So things like the researcher and the analyst, which are agents built for deep reasoning, they are now going to be, the cost of them is going to be included into Copilot, and any of the Copilot costs that you had previously are now being included in the paid Copilot version. So a couple of updates there for Copilot Studio. When talking about Copilot Studio, I'm going to talk about costs for agents. So what I'm talking about here, specifically now that the paid version includes all the costs, is within Copilot Chat, you can create agents. And let's say you create an agent to access STEM for a STEM website, for instance, so that students can get information on geography, physics, whatever you want. You build this agent which is targeted for students to get help on their particular subject. If you go out to STEM.org to get that, there's no cost to that agent. But if you want to ask a question of SharePoint data, which is inside your tenancy, that is paid functionality that's built into the full Microsoft 365 version of Copilot. If you create an agent to do that, creating messages and prompting that data incurs costs in terms of message costs. I keep calling them message costs, but in true Microsoft style, it is no longer called message costs. It's called, excuse me, it's called Copilot credits. Instead of Copilot messages, they're Copilot credits. In terms of what the costs are and how they work, it's exactly the same as it was previously. Microsoft, in their wisdom, have just changed the name. If you want to create agents and they have costs, you can pay for them in two ways, either via pay-as-you-go through Azure. What that means is for every prompt you do, you will get charged for that prompt, but at different credits depending what they are. If you're accessing tenant data, it could be more expensive. It could use up more credits than it did previously. The other way to do it is by using Copilot Studio. So with Copilot Studio, you don't buy a license for Copilot Studio. Copilot Studio is free of charge. But then you buy Copilot credit packs that work inside it for, it works inside it, and then you get 25,000 messages that are shared between all the agents. Okay, so you can get introduced with costs if people create their own agents, access SharePoint, etc. So the Copilot control system has had some updates, and it gives you more control over agents. So the Copilot control system is in the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. If you look on the left-hand side, Copilot is one of the options there. And if you go in there and into settings, I think, you can then pick out agents and control who has access, what they have access to. Can they just have access to simple agents, or can they access Copilot, etc., and your tenancy data. So there's more information there with more information on how it's used, etc. Also, what's new is there's a link there, Copilot Studio Agent Usage Estimator. It's a simple tool, but it might help you to get an idea of how many agents you want if you decide, how many credits you need if you want to develop your own agents. Okay, the final update then, this is coming next month, but so when we think, most people think of Microsoft 365 Copilot, but when Microsoft bought out Copilot, there was more than one paid version. And three of those were Copilot for Sales. That connects to Dynamics 365 CRM data or to Salesforce. It connects to CRM systems and allows you to create prompts based on data within the CRM, or with sales, particularly within the sales module. The same for Copilot for Service, if you're running customer service within Dynamics. And the final one, which again, my slides are wrong, is Copilot for Finance, which allows you to access ERP systems and query them and prompt against them. These could be Dynamics Finance, or it could be SAP, for instance. So those separate products from October, that functionality is coming into the paid M365 Copilot. Previously, you had to pay a premium to get that functionality on top of the Microsoft 365 Copilot. Now that functionality is coming into the Copilot license itself. Okay, so more and more functionality coming into the premium paid product to help you differentiate between the free version and the paid version. Okay, if anybody's already got Copilot for Sales, Copilot for Finance, or Copilot for Service, then at your renewal, you will get Microsoft 365 Copilot with that functionality rolled in. That functionality, I think you have to go to the Microsoft Store to add it to Copilot, but you get that additional file functionality in Copilot if you already have it. Okay, I'm pretty much right on time. So a lot of updates there, I think. Hopefully some of them you will find useful. Mark, can you start the poll, please?
Yeah, I'll get that started in a sec now. So just in terms of a couple of updates as well, I've dropped the next webinar link into the chat, so the registration is live for that. That'll be on the 15th of October, and we'll bring more details then as we got them in terms of topics. Just one final reminder on Windows 10 as well. So the end of life for that is actually the 14th of October. So one final reminder about that. So that's going to be the day before our next webinar. If you do have any queries or any concerns around that, or want to discuss options around extended security updates or Windows 11 compatible devices, please get in touch. We have got a shop for hardware and audiovisual as well. So I've dropped that link in if you want to browse our sort of selection. But we would say either phone us or drop us an email and we can get a call booked in then to go over your options. And on the topic of hardware, just quickly, I've dropped in a link to the Tech Expo 2025. So that is coming up next month as well. That will be at Ascot Racecourse. If anyone is heading there, please let us know. It'll be great to catch up. So that is open to anyone. We'll be there so we can meet up and go over some of the AV solutions there. There'll be a lot of audiovisual and hardware manufacturers there, Smart, Yealink, Biamp, Jabra, those kind of vendors then, so you can have some demos and get sort of hands-on with some of the hardware. So yeah, if you are heading there, just let us know. It'll be great to catch up. And on that note, I will just start the poll quickly. It's just the usual poll, so only a couple of questions. We'd be very grateful if you can provide a bit of feedback on what was helpful, what you'd like to be covered in the next webinars, just to make sure they are tailored for your requirements. So that should have just popped up. And while that's up, Eifion, I know one question has definitely come in. So the question asks, what level of 365 license is required for the Copilot paid version? Is it included within business standard licenses?
Okay, so the paid version of Copilot isn't included in any license, but it will work within business standard, and it will work within A1 license and above as well. I'm going to double check. I would say business standard works. The thing with business standard is you don't necessarily get all the tools that help you secure your tenancy and get your SharePoint data right, things like sensitivity labels and things like that. So I'm pretty sure it works with business standard, but you're not necessarily getting the best results out of it just from making sure your SharePoint data is in the best place for use with Copilot.
Yeah, like you said, the paid version isn't included in the licensing. It'll be an additional license, but I think it's more of a case of whether the original license is fine as the prerequisite, really, isn't it?
Yes, and I'm pretty sure that's the case.
Yeah. Okay, that's the only question I can see. If anyone else has any questions, please send them through, or as always, just follow up after the webinar or get in touch with your account manager. That's always a direct option if you did have any questions as well.
Okay, and Copilot just confirmed to me that it is supported within business standard.
Yeah, cool. Thank you very much. But yeah, I think that's all the questions for now then, Eifion. So back to you to close.
Okay, I'd just like to thank you all for turning up again. I hope you found it useful. I think the adding the apps into the free version will give better experiences for people using the free version, and just have a look at it and see. But I think that will help a lot of you. And obviously, then if you're looking at getting the paid version, just get in touch with us, and we can discuss who needs it and what's needed. So thanks again all for attending. Appreciate your attendance. Bye for now.